Lori Morse, and welcome to Module 3. This is actually the module where we're going to be doing things. And it's going to be broken down in segments of videos so that you can go back to the ones that you needed to re-look at or reorganize yourself, reorient yourself around. And our first video is going to be around setting your intention. So you should have the setting an intention worksheet out of your workbook. I think I asked you in the last module to go ahead and print that. And I wanted to go over it with you because it's the first step in the 5-step process of a creating healing process. So you really do not want to skip this step. This is sort of what opens the sacred circle. It's what sets the space, and it's also what guides the energy and accesses your medicine and your healing in the creative healing process. So it's really, you can't just leave this step out. So it's the reason I want to go over it with you so that it makes sense and it feels clear, and you can actually start creating intentions for yourself all day long. Actually, intentions and inquiries, meaning questions that we ask of our higher wisdom, those two things, and then the clarity that we receive as a result of setting forth an intention or an inquiry. Those two things are really in direct proportion to the quality of our life. So I really would encourage you to become really comfortable and regularly engaged in causing yourself to have intentions and inquiries around all the things that you would like to shift energetically. This is the foundation of what it means to manage your energy, and the better you get, the more masterful you are at managing your energy, transmuting old energy, lightening up your system, accessing your creative life force, and healing on all levels: mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and even financial. So on your intention worksheet, we're going to go through, what makes this worksheet wonderful is that it just sort of draws out of you what might be the most important place to start, or at least one of them. Initially, you're going to have a lot of options. We all do. And, I suggest if it feels overwhelming to you, don't let that stuff swirl in your head. Create a few pages in your journal, or create a separate journal where you're actually recording intentions or themes, specifics that you want to explore a creative healing process around in terms of an intention. And that way you can just, have a place to get it all out of your mind. And I guarantee you that if you're looking for a theme or an intention for a creative healing enterprise, why did I say that? A creative healing exercise, then you can go to your list and you can just go, oh yeah, that's the one that's really speaking to me now. So anyway, we're gonna create an intention and bring it into one statement so that it's sort of a simple and concise intention before you go into your actual creative play. And the statements are going to be I am statements. You may or may not know that I am statements are very powerful, very profound. As a spiritual woman, that accesses your spiritual higher wisdom. There's actually a presence. It's referred to as the I am presence, which is our light body. It's sort of our large field that's connected to a greater field of energy and light and the fabric of love of the universe. It's connected to Divine Mother. It's connected to, the source of life, right? So this I am presence is our own field. And so when we say I am, we're actually accessing that energetic field in ourselves. We're imprinting, we're intending, we're molding the clay, so to speak, of that energy, of that substance that is the light body of our I am presence, so that we can begin moving that energy into physical form. So I could go off on that topic, but that's why we say an I am statement. And so this is something so if your intention is that you want to heal a particular part of your body, whether it's a pain, whether it's a musculoskeletal issue like a shoulder or a knee or a low back, or an internal organ disharmony like digestive dysfunction or cardiovascular health or, brain clarity or neurological upgrade or anything along those lines, then you want to make your statement in a positive light. So let's just say, let me give you an example. Let's just say you have pain in your shoulder. You don't want your statement to say, I want my pain to go away. You want to say, I am pain-free in my shoulder. I am in perfect shoulder health. I am enjoying perfect shoulder health, perfect range of motion, especially if your shoulder has something to do with a movement or let me tell you what I mean by that. A lot of times people come in and they're wanting treatment for their shoulder because they really love to play tennis. And so they're really diminished in that joy if they can't move their shoulder. Obviously, in most cases, you have to rest the tissue in order for it to knit and heal, right? So you could say something like, I am fully pain-free and able to play tennis. And of course, I'm using examples, but you're going to want to put your own situation into the fill in the blanks, so to speak. If it's a digestive issue, you don't want to say, I no longer want diarrhea. You want to say, I am enjoying perfect bowels in perfect form and perfect timing. That might freak a few people out. I'm used to talking about bowel movements all day long, so it kind of wigs people out when I just jump into that subject. But anyway, or let's say you have like veins or arteries that are sclerotic, like a little bit of atherosclerosis, and you would like those to be open and free, then that's what you say. I am one who enjoys open and free-flowing blood in my vessels. So it's along those lines that you would set an intention, and you're going to see as we go through the process how interesting it is that the wisdom of our higher intelligence, our cellular intelligence, it has things to say about things that are off track in our system. If we're in a state of dis-ease or disharmony or low function, then our higher intelligence, your cellular wisdom will have something to say about what would be important to shift or adjust or increase or decrease in your life regarding that particular dis-ease or disharmony, and it will shift the energy of that problem. So you can read the whole paragraph on the I am statements, but you want to always, it's a very powerful and very it just sets energy strongly like an arrow to the bullseye of a target when you say I am blank, whatever the I am thing is. And you'll want to learn and practice saying it out loud, saying it in your head in a way that it feels familiar. Now, you may already be really familiar with this way of setting up intention statements, but if you're not, then what I have always noticed and am starting to notice even more is that I think I have something, like I learned about I am statements years ago, but what I'm learning in the last few years is that if I'm exquisitely present to my words and the almost instantaneous feelings that get activated in me when I speak those words, that it changes the way I am relating to that particular intention in a good way. It brings me into a more aligned relationship with it. Whereas before, in the years ago time, I was just kind of rotely saying things without any connection to them. And so there's always a next level and a next, a next opening or evolution or expansion to take yourself, even if you think you know something. So if you already are very familiar with I am statements, then try really feeling into and connecting into the heart, the essence of the statement beyond the words, right? And see if you can bring that energy into all of your cells, like almost like a waterfall washing over, but with the frequency of that statement. And that will take it all to a completely new level. And then if it's very difficult for you to say I am something because part of you doesn't believe it, which is very common, so don't worry if that's the case. Then you might want to put a little spin on it where you just say, I am willing to enjoy a pain-free shoulder. I am willing to have high-functioning digestion. I am willing to discover my next chapter in life. I am willing to be shown my own creative life force. I am willing to heal on every level of my being. You know, it doesn't bring up so much defensiveness in the mind if you make a statement like, I am willing. If you say I am and your mind doesn't believe it, there's going to be automatic sort of like a resistance and pushback from your mind, which is common. Don't think you're the only one who has a mind who's very strong and opinionated. All of us do. We just have to figure out our workarounds, and we have to sort of let things watch or observe inside of your own internal world how things land, so you can decide how you need to tweak it for you. I'm giving you broad brushstrokes here, and the real work is, so what does this mean for me when I say it? What do I notice? And initially you might not notice that much. You're just sort of, obviously, if this is the first time you're going through the creative healing process, you're just going to be going through the motions so you can get a feel for the cadence and the rhythm of it. And then the more you do it, the more you can sort of observe and do those fine-tuning pieces. There's also a way that you can set your intention, which is about requesting from your higher intelligence, from your Holy Spirit, your higher self, your divine nature, you know, divine love, all of those things are the same thing, your chi, all of that naming really is referencing the same pool or the same source which you are connected to. If you don't know that by now, then you need to go back and read the Kickstart, because that's where I make my case about there is not a person alive that's breathing that is not connected to that. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. That's what our life force is. So what we're doing is we're discovering that that's a truth by regularly reminding ourselves. We're creating a direct relationship with it. We're learning how to manage it, eventually to be able to master it, and we're letting it dissolve the places in us that are heavier, denser, or darker energetically in place of the lighter energy that is the creative life force, so that we have a sort of an open vessel of expression, which is what we are. We're an instrument of that expression. So one of the intentions, the way you can pose your intention is by a question or request to be shown or guided to a solution that you don't have an answer for, or that's not clear at all, or is causing you grief, or is making you feel stuck, along those lines. So let's just say you've tried everything you know to try for your digestive health, and you did a couple of creative healing process around the intention, I am enjoying, high functioning digestion. But you're not really noticing a shift, right? Like, you've gotten a couple of pieces from those creative healing processes, but they don't, they're not sticky enough. And you'll discover what this means. Then you might want to shift the intention to something like, show me what my best choices are in order to cultivate excellent digestion. Something along those lines, or guide me to the optimal choices inside and outside of me that would gift me, or that would bring me to optimal digestion. Something along those lines. And you can set these intentions around, obviously, your health. We've been talking about that. You can center them around, your work, and whether you're in business for yourself or you work for somebody, and if you're having an issue with anything, whether it's a project or a person, you can set the intention around that. You can set the intention around any sort of change that you would like to have in your work, or the way you contribute. If you if you want to volunteer but you aren't sure. You can also set the intention around cultivating abundance or finding your next living arrangements. You can do it around creating new friendships, creating exploration around your creativity. I mean, it's endless. So, I guess that's the gist of those, how you would set an intention in terms of an I am statement, an I am willing, or a show me, guide me statement. And if you come up with something else that works for you, the key is that the intention is an inquiry or an aspect that you're going into the process with, that you're looking for feedback from or for. So then you can go through the worksheet on your own. But I just want to say, you can answer the questions. Like the first question is, how would you describe your current life experience? If you know that you're going to go into the next several creative healing processes around a certain topic, then you can describe your current life experience around that particular topic. You don't have to answer that question in 3 lines about everything and anything regarding your life. I mean, you can narrow it down or widen it up as much as you choose. The next question is, regarding that particular theme, what is working and what isn't working? So you start identifying what truly is working, because we tend to throw it all in one pot in our mind, and we just automatically, if it's something that's kind of stuck in our craw, we automatically assume that the whole damn thing needs to be thrown out, and that's not usually the case. There's very few circumstances and situations in our life where there's not a few things that are working. So when you identify clearly what is working, then you can use that as a springboard. When you identify clearly what isn't working, you can start making decisions about whether to get rid of those little portions, or is it the opposite of what isn't working that's actually calling your attention that you haven't been able to see yet? Something along those lines. And then you want to identify what transformation, either in your life or around that particular topic, theme that we've been assuming you're answering these questions around. And you want to just start brainstorming with yourself. Like, what do you really want to be different? What would be ideal? If you had a magic wand, so to speak, or you were able to change anything up in the highest and most amazing way that you can imagine, what would that be? And start becoming a little bit more clear inside of yourself and on paper. You can answer these questions, of course, in your journal, or you can copy several worksheets and just answer them on the worksheets. I've done both, so it doesn't matter. And so, yeah, if you just sort of open up all possibilities, like if you had all the time that you needed, all the money that you needed, all the energy that you needed, all the support that you needed, what would be the ideal circumstance? And just, get yourself sort of in some sort of a orchestra. That's not the word I'm looking for. Yeah, just start the balls rolling, so to speak, so you can start creating a momentum and getting some energy moving toward that. It won't move. Energy won't move unless you start that ball rolling. So that's the purpose of some of these questions. And then you want to be clear, like, what is it that you would love to have some insight and some guidance and some clarity around when it comes to the thing that you're wanting to shift. And it could be, it could be a transformation and or a healing, of course, on any level. Just trying to think if there's an example coming up. Like, let's just say you're married and you would like for your intimacy, and I don't necessarily mean just sexual, but on all levels, like a sweeter connection, or a more heart-based connection in terms of the intimacy with your partner. You would like what it is now to transform into more of that heart-based connection. So that would be a lovely thing to identify and describe and sort of consider as you go throughout your life, like when you wake up in the morning or when you're grabbing your coffee or tea, like how would it be different than it is now? And start getting some envisioning and some clarifying and some identifying and some segmenting in your life about what would it look like that's different than the way it is now. So, and that's transformation. That's because when we actually get that kind of clarity and intention set, that starts and opens the gates of transformation. So that is that. And then the last question, number 7, is now it's time to clarify your intention. So this is where you make your statement. You just sort of parcel out everything that you've just identified in yourself, and you pull out what your core statement feels like. Like this is the line that covers the bases of what I've just sort of teased out of myself. So this is where you'll say, I am blank, I am willing blank, or the guide me or show me. You might not know how, like, if we're going to go back to the better heartfelt connection with your partner, you might not know. Like, you might have tried all the ways you know and read the books, and maybe you guys have even gone to counseling, and so this is where you would ask your higher. I've done this actually in my relationship. Like, I've said to my higher spirit, will you show me the pockets and the little places in life that I can actually connect with David in more heartful ways? Because our minds are so narrowly focused that if we've been doing it a certain way, we really can't see outside of those blinding, like a horse when they're in horse races and they wear those blinders so they can't see the horses next to them. That's sort of how our mind is. So when we connect and ask questions like this, like show me, guide me, it's like those blinders get taken off, and it's really, I consider it to be magical, because I will then see beautiful pockets where I can actually shift the energy, make a different connection, show up a little bit differently, connect with him in a way that feels like connection to him that I wasn't seeing before, and then I'd be frustrated and irritated and annoyed or whatever, which doesn't get us anywhere. Didn't get me anywhere. So anyway, that is the intention worksheet, and I thank you for letting me kind of break this down into small bites so that eventually you'll probably just land on your intention quite quickly. But some of our intentions, even now, I still take myself through this process if it's something that I don't have good clarity on, or it's something that's really a big deal that I really do need to have a deeper and broader scope of clarity on, that I can't reach in my own mind. I do the worksheet, and it takes me there every time. So that is the setting your intention worksheet, and then we will next go into ritual. That will be our next video together. I'll see you there.